Hi, and welcome to the Sunset Session brought to you by FlowerHire. This is episode 24. We have a special guest, an amazing human, Los Arias, the founder of Desert Horizon and the co-founder, co-CEO of Green Horizons, the emerging juggernaut in the Inland Empire. Thank you for coming. Great to see you, man.
An absolute honor. Thank you for having me.
One of my favorite human beings in this entire industry, and such a unique story to tell. The JD, who is a Cannabis CEO, and obviously so much more to that. So talk to me about what is Desert Horizons. There's a reputation for growing some of the best flower in California.
Oh, thank you.
And what is Green Horizons?
Absolutely. Let's do it, brother. And pleasure to be here. Desert Horizons was my first entry into California. 20,000 square feet, indoor flower, about 300 HPS lights, throwing off about 3,000 pounds a year. It was the sizable yet manageable chunk for me to look at first, and I did it with partners and friends that I've known for many years, which has really been a beautiful experience.
And you grow, and it's commercial, it's business to business, it's white label, and you grow for some top brands.
Absolutely. We do zero wholesale. We have off-takes with big brands and distro companies, many of which that you would recognize: Curated, Big Al's, Herbal. We work with a lot of amazing people. We've been very lucky in that. And, it's been an absolute learning curve as California has gotten its bearings. And doing that at 20,000 square feet is a heck of a lot easier than 1,000,000 square feet. So that was sort of the rationale behind starting small. And on that one, I raised the capital, about $8.5 million, came from one single investor, who happens also to be my best friend of 30 years. And
it's a good best friend?
Good best friend. And, he believed in me, notwithstanding knowing me as long as he has. And, it
was a pretty good bet when you really unpack your story, which we'll get into. But Green Horizons is the big vision. And there was an exciting groundbreaking on Green Horizons. Like, construction is happening for what will become 1,000,000 square feet in the city of Coachella.
Yes, sir.
Over the next 2 to 3 years.
That's happening right now. Yes, we started construction actually on Tuesday of this week.
Wow.
It was a heck of a journey to get it off the ground. It's 1,000,000 square feet that we've had entitled in the city of Coachella proper for several years. And the market just was never right, particularly with COVID and all the things for a greenfield development.
And I remember I came out to see your to Desert Horizons, and we met.
Yeah.
It's almost 2 years and change.
Yep.
And Green Horizons was the vision, and you had the land, and but it was a terrible time to raise money.
Yeah.
And things have improved for the industry since then. But Green Horizons will be one of the 8 cannabis wonders of the world. It seems like when it's done.
Yeah, that's our hope, friend. And what's we think intriguing about it, there's some compelling reasons why the city of Coachella specifically is the home that we chose. The Desert Valley has, of course, had a lot of cultivation there for many years.
Right. I mean, because people don't know, like, the Coachella Valley, Palm Springs is the most recognizable city there. The Coachella Music Festival, but 340 days of sunshine a year.
Yes.
Right? And so people are like, oh, Southern California, 340 days of sunshine a year, that's a great place to grow cannabis. Well, a lot of lessons have been learned there.
They sure have. And, I had the benefit of my partner being a local. He's been out, a gentleman named Michael Mead, who for me is a total visionary. He had the vision of, and I'll feel happy to tell the story of how the city of Coachella embraced cannabis. So he's lived in the desert for many years. The city of Indio is where the music festival happens.
Right.
The city of Coachella itself hasn't had any financial upside from that. So they have a global brand, that's the name of their city, but they've never been able to harness it. My partner, Michael Mead, he went down there, said, guys, I know what you need to do. You're gonna embrace cannabis. This is what's happening at the state level, all the things. This is back in like 2016. I'm gonna buy 1,000,000 square feet. I'm gonna entitle it. I'm gonna bring the power. I'm gonna bring the sewer. He worked with them. And the city was like, yeah, wow, that's a good idea, man. Cool, we can monetize our global brand finally. And that's what we decided to do and why we went there. The other fun facts about Coachella and why we think a scale development there will be competitive for years to come. What are the big factors with cultivating? Number one, power. Yeah. In the Desert Valley specifically, and obviously swaths of California, Edison is the big player. So Palm Springs, Cathedral City, I operate in Cathedral City today. We're paying a lot of money per month for power, man.
And there's no more power.
No, it's tapped out. Thankfully, on my property in Cathedral City, we do have some extra power on site, and we're expanding that facility now, 20,000 square feet to 32,000 square feet, and doing some LED stuff. But you know, to go scale, you can't do that there. Oh. You know, and there's been failed projects like Suniva. They're in Cathedral City too, and as much as I love Cathedral City because I operate there,
like $200 million they spent on that.
Yeah, and you know, every mistake under the sun, and you know, there's a lot of that happened there. But I hope somebody can make sense of that thing. But it's poorly designed and has had a lot of issues, and it's also in Cathedral City, so it's still beholden to Edison. Coachella, we're on IID. Imperial Irrigation District. We have a direct connect, and what IID is a water company that also does power. And it's, you know, anywhere from 25 to 35% less expensive. Now magnify that at 1 million square feet.
At 1 million square feet. I've been in like a 500,000 square feet, you know, facility. Took me like 30 minutes to walk through. A million, it's like, it's just almost even unfathomable how much space that is. Like how much space is 1 million square feet?
The 2 parcels that we have comprise about 31 acres of land.
I can't wait to walk through that facility with you.
Brother.
Let's go backwards in time. Let's talk about you. What got you to the point of like of Desert Horizons?
Yeah.
You know, how did cannabis come into your life? And tell me about, like, you kind of have a very unique story of almost growing up between 2 ferns.
Yeah.
And you know, bachelor's degree, worked in finance, you know, enrolled in law school, yet learning how to grow cannabis commercially.
Yeah.
Walk me through that, and then we got some more stuff to talk about.
You're very sweet. Thank you for indulging me, friend. You know, for me, like the root of it all was, you know, my home life. Very young, my mother. I'm half Brazilian, Brazilian mom, Cuban father. So on my mom's side, there's generations of experience working with indigenous plant medicine. So I was exposed to that very early, you know, curandera kind of stuff, and you know, ayahuasca, other healing plants and modalities. So that was a unique thing to be around, and I learned young that I had a green thumb just like my mom. So by, like, you know, high school, I was had a 3 or 4 lighter in the garage, and I'm playing with it. You know, I started there just as a relationship between me and cannabis, the plant. Mm-hmm. And I had been taught by my mom, hey, you know, these plants are alive.
They're alive. They have a spirit.
They have a spirit. They have and that, you know, that was a tough thing as a youngster to wrap my head around. But then there came a point, you know, I was like, whoa, wait a minute, mom is onto something here. And that led me to ultimately later in my early 30s really exploring some of the other medicines. I felt a calling to that at that point. I'm 42 now, you know, the elderly over here, but you know,
you look like a spring lamb.
Stretching
your legs the first time.
I appreciate you, man. The ayahuasca helps.
well, so you had late 20s, early 30s. You spent time South America and really lived with indigenous people, and really, and you also have a sort of a plant-based medicine helped you with get over a terrible disease.
That is all true, friend. And you know, the turning point there was my dad, who was a 14-year CIA veteran. You know, very disciplined person, very loving father, but a boy that I learned discipline. He had a stroke, and I am still, my father survived. We're exceedingly close. He's my best friend. And that really, it scared me and left, you know, it brought into a perfect...
You faced mortality.
Yeah. And it was like, whoa, wait a minute. And it made me rethink everything. At the time, I was working in big pharma. I worked for...
So at a college, you were doing pharmaceutical what, like sales?
Pharmaceutical sales, selling cardiovascular drugs, neuroscience stuff, you know, for a big firm out of Europe that people would know.
Yeah.
And, you know, it was a great job. It was paying me well. And then as I got deeper into it, I did that for about 4 years.
Like all over Florida?
All over Florida and a little bit in California. I was like, whoa, this isn't good. There's actually no interest in curing anything. It's about
revenue.
So revenue. So for me, it was like, you know, I need to get out of this. And
because you saw, like, you know, you heard the stories, the traditions of how indigenous people survived for millennia using medicines from the earth.
Yeah, 100%. And what happened with my dad specifically? So, you know, being a 14-year veteran in the CIA is going to leave its mark. So my father was on a host of prescription drugs, you know, a cocktail of them. and his brain exploded. And I was working in pharma at the time. So I was like literally I was looking at my father and saying, the killer is the pills, man. My mom was right. I've always known that in my heart. I'm gonna go to the jungle, man. And it was literally that fast of a decision. And I had a buddy of mine who had been talking to me about Peru for a long time, and he had a connection with the Shipibo Indians there. And I said, screw it, man, I'm gonna do it. And I went to Peru and, you know, trained with some amazing maestros, Rolando Tangoa, Sita Maraya, so many others. And I saw what for me was the path of truth. And I started evolving. Physically, I changed. I lost a lot of weight. I started looking younger. I started feeling better. And then I started getting interested in the science. And what I learned was, wow, ayahuasca has harmine in it, which promotes growth of brain cells and repairs damaged brain cells. It's also incredible, you know, as we have experiences in life, impacts of life, our brain forms neural tangles. So ayahuasca is incredible, and they get very firm and grooved.
Oh yeah, you get trapped in a way of thinking.
Those are your habits, and that's who you become because of your trauma and all the things. We all have it. Not everyone knows we have it, but we all do. And what happens when you use ayahuasca? Those tangles start loosening. They start breathing. They start repairing. They start being capable of making new decisions. So it is transformative. If somebody wants to make a change in their life or better themselves, heal disease, going to these medicines, man, is the best kept secret on the planet. And for me, the fact that cannabis is on Schedule 1, DMT, 5-MeO DMT, psilocybin, it's the ultimate crime against humanity, right. Particularly with me having worked in pharma and seeing the other side of it. And then what was fascinating is...
No one talks about like health and wellness and prevention. They talk about you know, curing symptoms and you know, once you're already at a point, it's not about like how to avoid or how to live healthy and happy.
Living, there's no business in that. You know, if there isn't anything to treat, there's no business. So you're 100% right. It's pernicious. It's perverse. And what I ended up happening with me, one of the places I went to personally, I studied in Africa as well. I contracted a viral condition that was dormant in my body until it wasn't. And in about 2017, I went to go get a checkup, and they're like, dude, you're sick. I had precancer and cancer cells in my genital area. And they had no idea what was going on. And they were like, oh man, wait a minute, we think it's this. And got referred to this incredible Western medical doctor. I also knew that he was interested in psychedelics. I'm like, all right, he's gonna speak my language. And we started talking. He's like, man, you ever heard of combo? I'm like, no, what's that, man? I know 5-MeO, the toad, I know. Oh man, wow, you don't know? Wow, okay, well here's what it is. It's the Amazonian monkey frog, and it's this tiny little green frog. And what we do is we extract the venom, and then I'm gonna burn holes in your skin, and then I'm gonna apply this medicine on you, and you're gonna purge for 20 minutes in excruciating experience. And you're gonna do that over a 12-month period, and your cancer is going to be gone. And I was like, what? From a doctor? And coming from pharma and all this, and it was just, but it made sense to me. And I said, you know what, doctor, let's do everything that you just said. And I did 15 sessions of that. I have you know, some markings on my chest to prove it, over a 12-month period. And I got to a point that I learned how to meditate with the experience. It took me 5-6 months to do this, but I got to a point that I can do like Herculean macro doses, and what is called a 3x3, which if in combo you do 1 20-minute session per day.
What is in combo specifically? Is it's DMT?
It's not. So it is a venom secretion from the Amazonian monkey frog. It is applied over the skin, and it's a heavy purgative. It's about a 20-minute experience. It's not a traditional...
We say purgative like you get sick.
Oh, you get
like terribly sick.
You get violently ill. It's like if someone turned the oven on, friend, and you start sweating, and there's nowhere to run, and you got to sit with this, and you can't turn it off. You have to go through it. And what ends up happening is a participant ends up purging. And, you know, whether they're working on curing an infirmity, physical, otherwise, you know, another sort of enlightened intention, wanting to improve themselves, whatever. You go through the experience honing that energy in, and that's why people do it. For me, I was sick. So I was doing it for...
You want to live.
I want to live. So, you know, this was my motivation at that time. And it was, it cured my cancer, gone. And it's so transformed my life that I was like, you know, I now know what my mission is. I'm going to preach this gospel far and wide, and you know, this is who I am. You know, this is why I've gone through this. I was convinced of that just within my own heart. And it actually at first hurt me in business. I had some...
the world wasn't ready to... We're talking about 2018?
2017, 2018.
Yeah. I mean, I look at... But now it's changed. I look at like psychedelics, and that world is like where perception is like 3 or 4 years ago of cannabis. Like cannabis, when I first started helping people like find careers in cannabis, trying to figure out who would work in the cannabis industry, it was way out there. And now it's mainstream. People look at cannabis as fucking stable, which is ridiculous, but it's true. But psychedelics are like 3 or 4 years ago, we're like, oh my God, you know, and now it's like this awakening, and it's happening obviously at it seems like a much more rapid rate than the cannabis, which has taken 40 to 50 years, 60 years to come to what's now, which was this week a bill presented by Chuck Schumer that will not pass.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
But
that's exactly right.
But it's so you're in cannabis. You've been working in cannabis professionally since 2015. And you have this transformation. You cure a disease that many people don't come back from.
Sure.
And you start speaking about psychedelics and its effect on plant-based wellness. But there's a connection between that and cannabis.
Yes.
You know, and you know, they're all from the earth. Cannabis has healing properties for a variety of things, spiritually and physically for people, and we're just now starting to understand how and why.
Yes. Right?
Because it's legal and being studied.
Yes.
You know, and not just from in the pharmaceutical lane, but in just the almost like the medical food way. But what is like? How do you see cannabis and combo and DMT, like the relationship between all of those things?
Great question. Well, what cannabis is doing, it's like it's the first one out the gate. You know, and thank God, you know, and cannabis can be tricky, right? You know,
I mean, cannabis, you can, at the end of that, you can grow the fucking thing in your backyard.
Yep.
It should not be illegal, 100%. But you don't have like rare Brazilian toads in your backyard.
That's exactly right. And I think the way that it'll roll out, and this is what I pray for, friend, is, you know, cannabis is introducing more people to plant medicine. Awesome. You know, a lot of people are drinking less. They're gravitating in this way. What does cannabis do for people, right? You know, I think everyone can agree with this. It opens the heart. It fosters connection, you know, and that's the root of all of this stuff. The other medicines, ayahuasca, 5-MeO-DMT combo, also fosters connection, but with yourself. That's what's going on. And cannabis, you can do that too. But it does have much more of a social sort of, you know, I want to talk to you about, you know, life and whatever we're going to do. With the other medicines, it's you, man. And what happens, and I'll speak just using I language from my experience, and many people that I know have had the same experience, when you're brave enough to sit with who you are and to look deep and deeper and deeper, it's tough. There's things in there, oh my God, I didn't even know that was bothering me. Oh my gosh, that memory from childhood, that did affect, and it's like shedding skins and healing. And you do that. And in my experience, when I went through that process, I came out better on the other side. Like, man, awesome, dude. I feel good. I'm energized. I want to help people. That's a good thing. And I've seen that impact on so many people with these medicines.
And even there was a study that came out on psilocybin recently, like double blinded, you know, medical journal that talked about how psilocybin helps people, you know, does something to like brain neurons, or it helps reform connections, and kind of what you were describing
with Harmine.
You know, exactly.
You know, amen. And we'll learn more about all of it, because now we'll get into a phase where we're studying it, right? So I can't wait for all of that to happen. And, you know, that's part of the next wave. But, you know, people are waking up, David. You know, people want to feel good. People have caught on to, you know, the things that have been available to us. They don't work. They don't work.
In profit motive. I mean, if you look at some of these companies that have paid out billions of dollars in settlements.
Yeah.
You know, that are, you know, supposed to be helping us,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you're on the curve. You're charging forward. You've seen it for yourself. You are who you are, and there are many people that can benefit from plant-based medicine as soon as there are people that can share their stories openly, and you know, and obviously, you know, I guess you have to get down to South America.
Yeah, it's part of it.
Yeah,
but it's also not required. I chose to go really deep into it in that way, and that to do that you have to go, I think, to the motherlands. But if you're
just sit with people who have been through the traditions passed down to them,
yes,
that have lived in the forest, that understand, you know, their place in nature and all these things.
Best experiences of my life: Peru, Mexico, Brazil, Africa, Colombia, Ecuador. I've drank and served medicine and done work like this in all of those places. And what's incredible now is a lot of those same practitioners I've developed relationships with, so I bring them here. I choose to spend my personal time damn near every weekend holding sessions, right? You know, ayahuasca, this, that, what have you. And, you know, maybe you're not nervous, you know, you're breaking federal law. I'm like, I break federal law every day with cannabis.
Absolutely.
These things shouldn't be illegal.
Yeah.
And I personally would be willing to go to jail for cannabis or any of these other medicines because I believe it's the truth. And if that's the price that I need to pay, I don't ask for that, and I don't think that is a likelihood. But have I been willing to do that for many years? Absolutely yes, brother. Absolutely yes.
Well, so many places to go. I want to end with, you know, you've been working professionally in cannabis for 6 years. Cannabis has been part of your life for much longer.
Yeah, sure.
Tell me about building a cannabis company, the importance of team, importance of who you're in business with. You've obviously learned a lot of lessons in your life, in your career, trying to put together visionary cannabis companies.
Yeah.
You know, what is the most important thing if you're trying to build a company?
Great question. Don't chase shiny objects, and work with people that you have shared values, but like real shared values, not just enough that looks good on paper and makes sense in a certain lens, but in your heart.
Not just on an investor deck.
Exactly. And, you know, that's a real, in my experience, that's a lesson that has to be learned through experience. And it's really hard sometimes to discern if it's a good situation for you or not in the truest sense, because, you know, people can put up a really, really good show, and it's easy to fall for that energy. And I've had 2 experiences that were less than awesome in the space, and, you know, they were absolute blessings, David. They were absolute blessings. They taught me everything that I didn't want, and it also gave me an opportunity to, like, you know, because I was upset about it at first, I'm like, you know what? This is actually an opportunity to alchemize all of that and to focus that energy on something that I want to build and create. And I'm going to learn the lesson.
With the right people.
With the right people. And I've been so blessed. My partner in Colorado's, you know, best friend, partner in Desert Horizon, best friend, partner in Coachella, best friend. Like, these guys, these are my brothers. And we all bond over plant medicine and these traditions. That's another thing about these medicines, not to belabor it. When people experience that together, dude, you know, it's an unbreakable bond.
It's for many people that go through that, it's like one of the most memorable experiences of their life.
Yeah.
You know, and to do that together with somebody.
It's powerful.
It's like a real, and it's a vulnerable, and all those things that happen.
And what it brings, I couldn't agree more. What it brings about, I have learned, is, you know, oh man, you know, that doesn't distract you. No, it actually focuses you, because what it does, it helps clear, it removes the film, the veils off. You could see, you're out of your own head, and you're like, oh my God, wow. I don't have to chase all the mice in my head. I'm just going to focus on executing.
Focus. It gives you focus. It gives you clarity and focus.
And it gives you, for me, I'll speak I language, it gives me peace in my heart. So even if all of my businesses fail, I know that I'm going to die trying, and everything that I have is going to go into it. I know my partners are the same. But because we are of that energy, we're not going to fail. We're going to succeed, and we're going to help others succeed, because that's the whole point of cannabis and all of these medicines, is to bring people together.
Yeah.
ultimately.
It's community.
Yes.
It is the values of community that have been so watered down by modern society, that plant-based medicine, that careers in cannabis, all those things give hope to, right?
Totally, man.
And, you know, well, I appreciate you sharing your journey and your perspective and everything else. You know, I can't wait to walk through 1 million square feet of cannabis with you. We'll probably take a break in between.
Fair enough.
You know, I mean, that'll be a lot.
Well, half the people in there would have been hired by FlowerHire.
Oh, there it is.
So you'll know plenty of people. That. Yeah, get that one on tape.
Yeah. Our brother, well, have a good one. Thank you very much.
Hey, man, bless you, brother. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you. Awesome.